Do you have a home or rental that smells like cigarette smoke? I'm Laura from Partners in DIY, and we're currently turning over a rental unit that's in really bad shape. The cigarette tar residue is literally dripping down the walls in some places. It smells terrible, like overpowering as soon as you open the front door. It's definitely not in the condition to turn over to a new renter. So today we're going to share with you 5 steps that we're using to turn this disaster of an apartment back into a clean, pleasant, livable space. This is probably a worst case scenario, but please leave a comment if you've seen something worse. For step number 1, you want to remove anything that's not salvageable, anything that's soft and is trapping odors and can't be cleaned. In our case, since this is a rental, we removed all the carpeting, the window coverings, and even the wallpaper.
Time to get this stink bomb out of here.
Now, if there are some things that you want to keep, like the wall-to-wall carpet, I recommend that you don't, but you would probably need to get these professionally cleaned. So once everything is out of the apartment, you're ready for step 2, which is to basically scrub and wipe down any open surface that you can reach. So for this, you're going to need a degreaser. There are many options to choose from. For example, TSP is one product that a lot of people talk about on YouTube, but I find that I prefer ZEP, which is another degreaser, and it's much less hazardous than some of these other products, and it's quite effective. So I make a solution of ZEP in a spray bottle. For easily reached surfaces, I use a green scrubby as the first pass. And then I wipe down the surface with a sponge, and then a final wipe down with a clean cloth. I prefer this cloth to be white so I can see how clean it is after my final wipe down. I fill 2 buckets with water. The first is for scrubbing, and the second is for the final wipe. And expect that this water is going to get really dirty.
It's like liquid cigarettes in here. So spray your green scrubby with the ZEP solution and then just work it in until the surface is pretty sudsy. Let that sit for a minute or 2. And then wipe off all the suds with your sponge from that first bucket. Finally, wipe down everything with your white cloth from your second bucket until the surface is looking shiny. Depending on how clean the cloth is after this first step, you might have to repeat the whole process.
For harder to reach surfaces such as upper walls and ceilings, just grab a microfiber mop that has removable cloths or pads, and grab 2 of these because you're going to need them. And another thing that's helpful is an extendable tile scrubber like this. Especially if you have a thicker tar layer like we do, this can help break that up at heights.
Cigarette tar does not coat surfaces evenly and tends to accumulate in the higher, harder to reach areas, unfortunately. After scrubbing the surface, I let it sit and soak into the tar layer for a few minutes and use the first removable microfiber pad to do a first pass and get the suds off. The majority of the tar should come off on this first pad. This pad then gets rinsed off in the first bucket. And then I do a final wipe down with the second pad from the clean water rinse bucket. The end of my round 1 cleaning on the ceiling ends up like this, so clearly another round is needed. Okay, round 2 is completed. It's a lot better. It feels squeaky clean, but the white paper towel is the real test. Pretty good.
Once all the open surfaces are clean, you're ready for step 3.
Anywhere that the cigarette tar remains, it will harbor odors. So it's really important that you try to address tar that's built up in cracks and crevices that you wouldn't normally think of. So this includes behind plate covers, behind light fixtures, inside the tracks of window frames, in any vents or ductwork that you might have. And yes, even your radiators. The baseboard heaters can be a bit daunting to tackle. I posted a video that shows you the steps that I use to clean these out, so please check that out at the link above and in the description. Remember to subscribe to our channel to follow our DIY renovation and management of this 5-unit property. We'll continue to share things that have worked and things that haven't worked along the way. So now that the room is free of gunk and as good smelling as we can get it with a degreaser, it's time to move on to step number 4, ozone. And I'm gonna let Craig take that over.
So we have this little unit right here. Just got it on Amazon a year ago or so to use for other projects. It's got a little timer right here. You can basically set how long you want to run for, and it makes ozone. Ozone is basically O3 instead of O2. Lightning makes it for like the ozone layer and stuff like that. It happens to be a really strong oxidizer. So like other oxidizers, bleach, for example, peroxide, it's really reactive, and it also reacts with things that tend to be smelly and stinky. So this will react with a lot of the stuff that's maybe in cracks and crevices we couldn't get to, little spots we missed, and just give this whole room a saturated hit of ozone and take the smell down to another level. So I'm going to set up some plastic here. I'll go ahead and close off the window, and then set this guy to a 30-minute timer. That's like the lowest setting you can use just for a small room like this. That's plenty. And then in say 4 hours, I'll come back up here, ventilate everything out, and we'll move on. So I did not get to opening this up yesterday after 4 hours. Ran out of time to do other stuff, so it sat overnight. So here's the plastic we had set up. Let's get this off. Doesn't smell strong. A little odor from the ozone. I'm gonna open this window here. That air out. Come back in 20 minutes. All right, so we are done cleaning, we're done ozoning. The place is substantially nicer. Just feels reasonable to be in here, doesn't feel disgusting.
So now that the room is clean and smelling good, it's time for our final step to eliminate smoker smell, and that is paint. It's important to choose your primer wisely. In our case, we're using a Kilz oil-based primer, but you could also use something like Cover Stain by Zinsser, which is also commonly available. Then we'll top the Kilz with a latex paint. This will give us both an oil-based and a water-based layer, and they block different types of stains and odors. If you're opposed to using an oil-based primer because of the fumes and the cleanup, that's understandable, but just keep in mind you're gonna have to probably use multiple coats before you do the final top coat. Our process to getting this apartment smelling normal again is finally over. We removed everything from the property. We scrubbed everything we could get our hands on.
Yep, ozoned all the rooms and then finished everything up with a nice coat of oil-based primer, and things are way better.
Yeah, it smells so much better. I can't really even detect the smoke at this point.
So now this is done, we can start working on the rest of the project we got ahead of us to get this place finished and rent it out.
So I hope you've enjoyed this video and that following these 5 steps will help you transform your home and living space.